Hello again, everybody. Zack Attack is here with my WWE Raw review for tonight, Monday, November the 19th, 2012. Of course, the aftermath following Survivor Series last night. Overall, my thoughts on tonight's Raw, which involved an injury, a celebration, and another sneak attack. There was an okay Raw for me after pay-per-view. There was once again, some silly things for me in a 3-hour Raw, silly squashes. It was another mixed bag for Raw being after a pay-per-view, but I think we saw some more feud developing. But indeed, it was an okay, decent Raw for this evening being after Survivor Series. Of course, we began with the man who, once again, got screwed at Survivor Series. Thankfully, not being champion yet again. Ryback coming out, of course, vengeful than ever, wanting revenge on CM Punk, Paul Heyman, and the three guys who attacked him last night, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns. If you missed my attack line today, I said that I think Punk and Heyman, despite the denial, they're probably behind not just the Maddox incident, but these three guys coming in. And I think Ryback's getting the hint too that he thinks, like we all think, Punk and or Heyman are behind all of this. See how that storyline develops. But Ryback wanted all three of them, all three guys, and also Punk and Heyman. He wanted to beat everybody up, basically vengeance, and he would have a chance to this evening, but not at that moment, as he was ready to tear up the arena if he didn't get them. However, Vicky Guerrero came out, threatened Ryback. If he does cause chaos this evening, he will be fined and or suspended. But Vicky does like Ryback beating up people. So it's time for Vince's new favorite jobber, Tenzai, to get beat up by Ryback. Tenzai did have some okay offense. Tenzai did beat the crap out of Ryback. Ryback had to kind of earn this win, but Tenzai ended up like all the rest being fed to the big beast. He of course succumbed to the meat hook clothesline and the shell shock, as of course Ryback was on a rampage. And of course Ryback would try to interrupt the big celebration for CM Punk's WWE title 365 reign later on this evening. Now, on to our next match, which was a decent one, probably one of the only decent matches of the night. Of course, kind of speaking of Revenge Night, of course, we saw a lot of Team Ziggler Foley members getting their own weapons over being eliminated last night by people. Of course, the reigning Intercontinental Champion, Kofi Kingston, took on Wade Barrett. And Kofi had the advantage early on, but of course, Wade Barrett indeed dominated most of this matchup. He was very brutal in this matchup, attacking Kofi big time. Injury, mostly focusing on Kofi's eye, having a little nasty hit on his eye. Basically, for the second half of the match, Kofi was just getting beat up. Basically, kicks to the head, hits to the head, especially in his bad eye. Of course, you saw a lot of people feeding off people's injuries tonight. And you would see a lot of that, as I would explain later on in this review. A lot of injuries succumbed by people, and of course, people fed off those injuries. This was the first one. Wade feeding off Kofi's injury. Kofi did try to come back strong, but in the end, he fell to the bullhammer elbow, newly renamed. Now, they renamed it last night. It was like the souvenir elbow. Now it's bullhammer. And a 1-2-3 victory for Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett may be in line for an IC title match, because Wade Barrett's been on a comeback trail. He's been very good lately in decent matches. And I think Barrett's trying to push himself back up and getting a match against Kofi Kingston for the IC Championship, whether it's maybe on Raw, I'm guessing, maybe even TLC. Wade Barrett is on the comeback trail indeed. So there you go. Decent matchup with Wade Barrett getting the victory over Kofi Kingston, of course, non-title. Speaking of non-title matches, we'll on to our next match, which involved the United States Champion. But before we get to that U.S. Championship, U.S. Champion fighting, we have a Divas match. Oksana taking on Caitlyn, of course. Caitlyn looking for vengeance over Oksana, who attacked her last night before her match against Eve. Kind of like weakening her before the match, but of course Eve won. Typical Divas match. Who cares? Oksana wins. Sloppy. Who gives a fuck? Let's move on. Because I was trying to like I was like too distracted by a lot of things tonight besides Raw with the watching my new Led Zeppelin DVD. If you didn't see my attack line, I got a new Led Zeppelin DVD for my show, and of course trying to watch the Bears win until they got their asses beat. Come on, Cutler, feel better. So anyway, Oksana wins. Let's move on to the match I was talking about before I forgot the Divas match. And who wants to forget a Divas match? Like I mentioned, the U.S. title holder was on the in the match as well. We saw Kofi in the match. Now it's time for the U.S. champion to get some action in. As Antonio Cesaro, non-title, took on Borders Clan, all truth at ringside, who lost to Cesaro last night. Despite Borders' best efforts, even for Borders, he got his butt whipped by Cesaro, dominated most of the match. And of course, Borders tried to come back, but Cesaro nailed the big uppercut, and yes, Borders Clan did get the equalizer in the shot of Cesaro holding on to Borders' nuts was an unpleasant sight to see. We should have got a pleasant sight. We will see in our next segment, but indeed, victory for Cesaro. All Truth may want to rematch, so there you go. All Truth at commentary. Before I move on, speaking of commentary, a lot of heart attack jokes on Jerry, whether it's on him, with him and Cole, or any other guests. I know they're trying to be funny tonight. It was okay, kind of like awkward jokes. There were some good jokes from Jerry during our next segment about Vicky being legitimate about this whole AJ John Cena scandal, saying Vicky's legitimate than her haircut or whatever. So there were some funny jokes, and of course, that led up to a next segment, which I thought this whole scandal thing ended last night, but unfortunately, this scandal thing is not over yet. Because I know AJ and Vicky's feud's starting to build, but I thought this scandal thing was over. We had these eyewitness people, and I'm glad the trending topic was Claire Lynch. Because I've said it before that both WWE and TNA have these weird ass storylines, and both of these weird ass storylines had people named AJ in them, whether it's AJ Styles and Claire Lynch or AJ and John Cena. AJ, the name's been involved in these stupid scandal things with WWE and TNA throughout the year. But anyway, these eyewitnesses said that Cena and AJ had sex in the car. Made out in a car. And then they said they had a cell phone picture of it. I would like to have seen that. They're trying to tease some TV-14 in there. And as we would see later on with Paul Heyman, if you want TV-14, come get it. Don't bitch about it. And I agree to that. And I'll talk more about that as we get to that last segment. But anyway, if Vicky went out to these evidence, AJ came out, blah, 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 blah. And then Cena came out as Vicky was going to show her little cell phone photo. We know there wasn't one, but it would be nice anyway. Anyway, Cena came out saying, Vicky, you want something to talk about? Well, I'll give you something to talk about. He kissed AJ, and AJ kissed him. As AJ and Cena were kissing to the disgust of Vicky Guerrero, here comes Dolph Ziggler attacking John Cena from behind. Cena gave an FU attempt on the top rope, and Cena tripped on the way to get. He was chasing Ziggler and he tripped. I thought it was love days, and unfortunately, I mentioned someone got injured. That injury was John Cena. Now, John Cena tripped, and he was limping towards the back. Of course, we find out later on it was a torn meniscus, somewhat the same injury that Cody Rhodes sustained last week on Main Event. And of course, I told you earlier on when we saw when I mentioned the Kofi Wade Barrett match that people get injured and people fed off injuries. Wade Barrett fed off Kofi's injury. Well, Dolph Ziggler fed on Cena's injury. As later on in the evening, as Cena was getting banged to jump, AJ was mad and wanted to do something about it, and Vicky won't do anything about it. So AJ went to the men's locker room and ready to confront Dolph, and Dolph basically called AJ trash, blah, 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 blah. Then AJ, angry as hell, was all over Dolph, beating the crap out of Dolph until Cena came to beat the crap out of Dolph some more. And then Cena got kicked in the bad meniscus area by Dolph when he was still in his seat. And Dolph had a little backstage brawl in the men's locker room, even breaking down some bathroom stalls as Cena and Ziggler were fighting all over each other. And of course, Dolph kicking the hair out of Cena, and of course, the bad knee. Isn't it weird that Cena came back? He just came back a few weeks ago from his shoulder injury, now he's got another injury, a torn meniscus. I don't know if it's severe, but I sense a possible Cena Ziggler feud. But now Cena's injured again. How long is he gonna be out again? So he just came back from an injury. Now he's got another one. So there you go. Cena's injured. We don't know how long he's out. Ziggler fed off it. We'll see if Ziggler and Cena will continue the feud if Cena's well enough to continue. Now, with the rest of our show, which continued on with two men who were in a match, Survivor Series match last night, and the feud still continues. Randy Orton, Alberto Del Rio in a best 2 out of 3 falls match, and I predicted to myself, and I was right that it would go all 3 rounds, all 3 falls. It would be a shutout. And the match, for being a 2 out of 3 fall match, especially TVPG and being on the 3 hour ratio, was okay. 2 out of 3 fall matchup. Of course, Alberto throughout the entire match, like I said, there's a trend here, like I said, that people think of injuries with, like I said, Kofi's injury to the face, being attacked by Wade Barrett. Just mentioned Cena's injury being targeted by Dolph, and of course tonight, Orton's arm, once again, Alberto focusing on the arm to get the cross arm breaker. And I think Alberto had a plan to weaken Orton's arm, and he beat the crap out of Orton during the first fall, getting himself disqualified after wailing Orton's arm against the steel, against the turnbuckle steel. It wouldn't break the hold, got counted to 5, and got disqualified in the first fall. And he thought his plan was working as Orton's arm was weak enough. It was weakened. But indeed, Orton was ready to fight back. But indeed, Alberto weakened the arm some more and got the second fall with a cross-arm breaker, and Orton had to tap because his bad arm was bugging him. So it's even 1-1 at the end of 2 falls in the season matchup. And of course, Alberto once again was on the attack again on the arm and trying to get Ricardo to distract the referee. Ricardo got thrown out. And with that distraction, Orton almost lost again after the distraction backstabber by Alberto, and Alberto almost had the cross-arm breaker again, and Orton got out of it. And even Alberto parodied Orton when he beat up Orton some more, he did the on his belly doing the RKO stance. We did see the RKO in the DDT by the man who does it, Randy Orton. 1-2-3 victory for Randy Orton, who's of course still playing face. I think it's a perfect way to end the Alberto feud. It was a decent matchup. It was okay 2 out of 3 falls matchup, very exciting matchup. And it's a great way to not only end Orton's feud with Alberto Del Rio, but it's a good way to end it before Orton finally turns heel. There's been a lot of rumors about it, even a sign. I did see a turn on heel sign, and then they take it away. So I think that he knows it's coming. So there you go. I think Orton will turn heel. Good way to end his last babyface feud. So there you go. Orton wins over Alberto Del Rio in a decent 2 out of 3 falls matchup here to end the feud and possibly once again hope for heel turn. And then we're on to our next match, which I'm glad I missed. Silly squash with Hornswoggle and Great Khali. With Khali taking on Primo and Epico, Khali won. Apparently some kiss happened between some silly incident involved Rosa Mendez with water sprayed all over. Stupid segment. Glad I missed that match with Khali and Hornswoggle. Let's move on to a man I mentioned, Orton turning heel, where we had a guy who turned from heel to face and had problems with Orton last night despite trying to help Team Foley win and ended up losing. Of course, I'm referring to The Miz taking on David Otunga, the last minute replacement for Cody Rhodes. The battle of the 5th man in the Team Foley and Ziggler match, who became last minute replacements for Ryback and, like I mentioned, for Otunga, Cody Rhodes. So Otunga had the offensive, but The Miz still playing. It's weird seeing Miz face. He's not fully embraced being a baby face yet. Still being a cocky guy, but still trying to be face by having a crowd cheer him on. And plus, this is in Ohio, near his hometown again of Cleveland. But then Miz getting most of the beat up by Otunga. But after beat up by Otunga for most of the matchup, in another okay matchup, Miz came back with a splash. And of course, the skull crushing finale and the victory for The Miz. And I like the sign about hostess. I mentioned that Otunga bought a bunch of hostess stuff. I think they may be no longer maybe out of business, may come back, but who knows. Anyway, with The Miz winning. On to our next match, which was, I think it was Sheamus taking on Damien Sandow. Before that, Sheamus, of course, mad over his championship match last night. Of course, the CM Punk Ryback Cena match was the only title match to end screwy. When, of course, Sheamus losing, well, he won by disqualification after initially losing to Big Show. Kind of a weird, confusing ending last night, with Big Show pushing the referee to get Brogue kicked. And, of course, Sheamus was not in a good mood. He bought out a chair. Once again, like I mentioned in my Survivor Series review, I predicted that Sheamus and Big Show will probably have a rematch at TLC in a chairs match. And more evidence, Sheamus brought out the chair again and told it to call out Big Show. And Big Show and Sheamus were having an argument about championship, the match, blah, 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 blah. And just as Sheamus and Big Show's argument was getting to an emotional high point, Sandow came out, and Damien Sandow had a great match with Sheamus about a month or two ago, when Sheamus was world champion, and Sandow looked very good against Sheamus in that match. And once again, Sandow fighting solo while Cody Rhodes is recovering from his injury. Once again, looked very good tonight. But like the last match, champion or not, Sheamus got the victory. It was another decent matchup. Sandow had the offensive for most of the matchup, but indeed Sheamus delivered the white noise and the pro kick and gets the victory, sending a huge message to the Big Show, hoping for a rematch. Like I mentioned, probably will happen in a chairs match, possibly at TLC. So there you go with that. Now on to our next matchup here. The next matchup here, which was a tag team affair. I think it was a tag team affair. Yeah, it was a main event of the night, which was the team of Team Hell No, Daniel Bryan and Kane teaming up against Rey Mysterio, Sin Cara in a non-title matchup with title implications. Sin Cara and Mysterio offered a match if they were to win this match. Primetime players were commentating, and like I said, commentating night was kind of silly. And of course, no matter who was commentating, there was at least a lot of jokes about Jerry King Lawler's heart attack. Jerry made a joke, and of course, part-time players did too. It was a decent matchup. It was probably the second best match of Raw, if you can call anything good on this Raw. Kane and Daniel Bryan once again had their problems as Sin Cara and Mysterio tried their high-flying maneuvers for this matchup, and Kane and Daniel Bryan did team up a little bit, and of course did get the advantage despite their, once again, tension, flying tags once again. And Mysterio and Kane ended the matchup as Mysterio is ready for the 619. But Kane was ready to get the choke slam. And indeed, Kane did get the 619. And as Mysterio was ready to get choke slam, I think after the 619, primetime players who were at ringside and didn't want Mysterio and Kane to win, Mysterio and Sin Cara to win, because primetime players believe they get a shot, they deserve a shot more than Mysterio and Cara, and they have a legitimate point. They did beat Sin Cara and Mysterio on SmackDown. Part-time players came in, interfered, causing disqualification, but part-time players' interference wouldn't come unpunished, getting a 619 and a choke slam for their troubles, and getting a double 619 for Mysterio. And despite all four men, Mysterio and Cara and Kane and Daniel Bryan teaming up, Kane and Daniel Bryan once again arguing about who's tag team champions, blah, 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 blah. So there you go. DQ matchup, decent tag match won by the part-time players. Now on to the last segment of the night, which was the WWE Championship celebration for CM Punk being champion for 365 days. Now I mentioned at the beginning of this video about people wanting a lot of Attitude Era things, some sneaking of some Attitude Era things. And if there is an Attitude Era things, people get too sensitive about it. Especially after what happened last week. I said in my Raw review last week about what Paul Heyman did, his little heart attack joke on Jerry Lawler about having a fake heart attack. It was talking about, we gave you attitude last week, and we gave you attitude right in your face, and you dismissed it. You were offended by it. My thing is that as much as we all want the Attitude Era back, there's only one thing that detracts us from the Attitude Era coming back full time. Sensitivity. It's sensitive times for WWE. We have to be all politically correct now. That's why TV PG now, because WWE has to be politically correct. You do something shocking, no matter how exciting it is, people bitch about it. Everyone's sensitive now. People's oversensitive. That's why I love TV 14. I love the Attitude Era, and I've been wanting it to come back, but in actuality, it may never will come back because people are too sensitive. 20 years back in the day, people were not sensitive. We liked all that stuff about the date where storylines and the weird ass storylines in the tables and violence. But we have something like a fake heart attack now, trying to be edgy. People are sensitive by it. So I agree with Paul Heyman about people saying, "Oh, we want attitude," and they got it, and they still bitched about it. You know what I mean? People are sensitive. That's why there may not be another attitude era. Everyone's too politically correct, and everyone's sensitive. So when we got that out of the way, of course, Paul Heyman celebratory mood, as of course he introduced CM Punk after this little rant about attitude, and CM Punk came out talking about being once again the best in the world, the best is the best was best that will be, because he's done something Bret Hart couldn't do, that The Rock couldn't do, who Punk wants to beat at Royal Rumble. Maybe Rock, I think Rock may win, but that's another story for another time. It is something hope that Stone Cold Steve Austin wouldn't do. Another Austin match tease, especially Austin saying he's 100% better. But he did something that no one else could not do besides Cena. Held it for a year. And he even wants to hold it longer than Bruno Sammartino. Tino. And I'm sorry, that will never happen. I don't think Punk will hold the title for more than a year. I think he will never hold the title for 4 fucking years. I'm sorry. I love Punk and all, but I don't think he's going to be champion for 4 years. In this day and age, everything's going fast. You can't develop things anymore. That's why everything's sucking, because you can't develop a person anymore. You can't take 4 years to develop somebody. You have to do it in a fast pace. That's why there's so many one-hit wonders these days. And of course, WWE's no exception. As we would see, as Punk was celebrating in a montage, here comes Ryback, ready to crash this party despite Vicky Guerrero's warning. But as Ryback was coming for the ring, sensing, like I mentioned, sensing more proof that Punk is behind all these attacks on Ryback, here comes these 3 guys again. Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins coming from the back again, coming from the crowd as security guards attacking, beating the crap out of Ryback. But Ryback had some offense this time. Ryback did beat the crap out of him at one point. He did destroy him, get a little bit of revenge. But unfortunately, Raw ended the same way Survivor Series ended, with Ryback once again being triple teamed, slammed on a table by these 3 guys, with Punk hovering over the down Ryback with the championship bout as Raw went off the air. And I made a prediction about the chairs match between Big Show and Kane. I predict also that Ryback, despite my best efforts for him not to be in the title picture, to take on Punk again in a TLC match. Well better than Cena being in the match. And I'm glad Cena's not going to be in the title picture for a while. I think he's going to focus more on Ziggler for a while. And I think after Cena's done with Ziggler, he should go for a secondary title, not for the WWE title. Or maybe they want Ziggler to become more champion. That'd be interesting, because Cena wants a feud with Ziggler. So if Ziggler finally catches in Money in the Bank, who knows? Maybe Cena will feud for the World title against Ziggler. When and if Ziggler becomes champion. So we got a lot of possible situations now with Cena Ziggler feud building up. Maybe Ziggler could become more champion, and Cena could feud for the title against him. This whole the Punk being involved in these attacks on Ryback storyline continues on. There's a lot of other things building up. Where it was a decent wall. Like I said, another mixed bag, but still a little bit of storyline building. That is it for my Raw review for tonight. Thank you all very much for watching. With that in mind, you've all been attacked by the review from Zach. Thank you very much. See you later. Have a good night. And have a great Thanksgiving week. Yeah.